Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Coming In Hot with Caroline. But guess what? It's Caroline and John.
Coming in hotter with John.
Guys, listen to me. First of all, we've brought John back. You're lucky to be brought back. And we wanted to do a quick, short round, short, hot, and sweet. You guys asked us questions, and you guys don't mess around. Okay, so John, questions have come in.
And you haven't prepared me for any of this.
We haven't prepared for this. We wanted to just do a fun one. Let's just get on. Let's answer some questions and have some fun. Okay, how you feeling?
Well, the good thing is I get to edit this.
So basically, you can make me look bad if you want to.
No, I can make myself look better.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to start with just questions from the audience.
Okay.
Okay. So does John ever get tired of all the videoing you do?
I do not get tired of all the videoing because one, it is your job. Two, you love it. And I am okay with being able to video and share whatever.
But I feel like sometimes you do feel a little annoyed. Sometimes I feel like on camera or when I'm videotaping, you can have a little bit of a resting bitch face.
I just have a resting bitch face every once in a while.
But you're not like annoyed, because sometimes I feel like I'll look over at you or a videotape and like you definitely seem slightly annoyed or like you're not having fun.
Yeah, if I'm annoyed, it's me. It's my own problem.
Okay.
That I'm just not feeling great. I'm just annoyed that day. So anything's going to annoy me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but everyone thinks John's so easygoing, but you get your moods too.
Yeah. And we've gotten really good with that because
we communicate now.
We will admit or say, hey, don't bother me today. I'm annoyed. I'm feeling that feel. You know, that feeling of...
Wait, tell them what your feeling is, because yours is very specific.
I feel like all sounds are really amplified and it just gets in my head and I'm just feeling on edge, and it's any little noise bothers me. And I just know when I'm in that zone. I've had that since I was a kid. Where,
you did, even with your brother?
You'd hear sounds like I could hear everything.
Ooh.
And while I have the misophonia, whatever it is, where I don't like chewing with sounds of chewing, and Kevin Hart, yes, I feel you. I loved your video on that one. And
John
other people now feel
it. Like he has a weird reaction to like if he can hear you chewing, he hears certain noises.
Oh,
it's a weird reaction.
You see why people will freak out on others. Yeah. And so I know when I'm in that.
do not chew gum around you.
I know when, well, it's with your mouth open, which that's like my grandma used to chew and have food fall out of her mouth when eating dinner. And it's just not
So
good.
it just annoys you. Okay,
Yes.
but you're not so you're not annoyed by all the videoing.
No,
you're not annoyed
it's
about
fun.
me talking about everything or mentioning, like at the beginning, was it hard for you? Like at the beginning, kind of getting used to the constant, because it is constant.
No.
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't constant.
Okay, if everything you were saying was not intelligent or valuable or fun, then yes. And if I didn't like the content, but it's you. What you get is you. So you're just recording what you're doing.
Amplified.
Now, does everyone want to see everything you're making all the time with food?
What? I
don't
think more
know.
the chewing.
I'm like,
People like the food. I think people don't love the chewing.
Like the recipes.
Yes.
Yeah, and you eating, and there was a comment about you
a lot of people
chewing
do
on camera.
eat.
Yeah.
It was one bite. Everyone needs to settle down.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you're not really annoyed by it.
No.
You kind of accept it now as it is part of our life. And I think even our boys, because people ask me all the time about the boys, having two teenage boys, they're 12 and 14, the whole social media world, does it affect them? Do they hate it? Do they love it? And I have to say, I find it fascinating that I don't think they're as obsessed with the social media. I'm not saying they don't watch their phones, but I do think me being on it 24/7, number one, they're obviously used to it. Number two, I think they do have an understanding that it's work. I think if I was just taking photos of them and being annoying and like being like, come on, get a quick video. But I think they respect the fact they see me working. They see me doing the videos. So when I do get them, I will ask permission. I always ask Sawyer. He does not like to be on camera. Finn is more okay with it, but we'll ask permission. They understand that there's a service here, that we are servicing people, like I am showing things and doing things, and that we benefit from that.
You're servicing
of course.
people?
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean?
Right here.
Psychologically.
No, yes.
But it is one of those things where I think they've come to an understanding of what it means. But there's obviously the obsession with the phone and the social media. How do you think they feel about me filming all the time?
I think they're fine with it. Like you said, that you ask them. And so whether they want to be on camera or not, then it's up to us to think about the long-term effect of it. Like people going back and looking at the videos of them if they said something or did something. So we are conscious of it. I do think when people go a little bit extreme, when they say, oh, you're showing your bra and underwear and your kids and all this, I'm like, honestly, when you're in your bathing suit, it's the same thing. And it's not you trying to be sexy like a MILF
No,
even
it's
though
not like
you're
I've ever
yeah.
done anything like very sexual on
No,
camera, like
and-
where I'm trying to be
and so
sexy.
these
It's like I'm
people are
changing my
fucking
clothes
crazy.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, I am literally, and I have nipple pads on. I'm not showing anything.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm literally in a bikini.
Yes. Are there going to be assholes that make fun of it? There's
I'm
going to
sure.
always be assholes, and they're going to always find something. And we do know that when you have something on the internet, it's there forever.
Share yours,
You can
John.
always- Okay, so back in 2004, I have an identical twin. And we decided to, while we were in business school, we had a friend who was putting on an event, and we did some things.
You
just
did
for money,
modeling
and-
too. I mean,
well,
you
some
did some-
modeling,
yeah.
yeah. But they needed, for the Jackass premiere, Johnny Knoxville, they needed guys to be on the red carpet. But it's not any guys. They wanted us to be like Bam's super guy, where he had the bow tie and the red shorts, no shirt, high socks. And we were to be at the party, the red carpet. So
Just looking good.
just looking good. That worked out then. So we were on the red carpet. We were welcoming all the guests, doing photos. And Johnny Knoxville, they got out and they tried to pants my brother,
Yeah.
and they tried to pull his pants down.
Oh
You're like,
my
oh,
God.
shit. Okay. And then you've got all the photographers. And so Getty Images has all their shit. And weeks later, you start looking on the internet and you start seeing the pictures of you up there. And you're like, okay, that's funny. Yeah. And it's like with Muhammad Ali's daughter, you got other
Yeah.
celebrities, some baseball players, or whoever was at this event. And
Well, it seems like a good idea at the time.
it was a great idea at the time. And then you start going, we're in business school, going to get jobs, and you can find anyone who does a search on you. Oh, these images come up. And you're like, fuck. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so we went on a mission to try to get them removed by reaching out to the legal departments of anyone who's posting it, saying you can't use this. Some people said, okay, they took it down. Others will say, pay me. Others said, fuck you. It's our right to post it. And so that was a huge lesson in what is on the internet stays on the internet. So be very careful what you post.
Right, and it all
Yeah.
can seem like a good idea at the time, but if you're switching careers, if you are it's funny is that you kind of forget that everyone can search you, and then you're like, wait, what? And then these pictures pop up. But lesson learned.
Yes.
And so we are careful with the kids. We are aware. I'm sure there'll be something, but we do talk to them about it a lot. So it is something that's like at the top of our. Okay, we are going to have a quick chat about sex.
Quick, very quick.
Very
It's like-
quick.
And that's not just me.
Okay,
Woo.
so
Yeah.
how to have intimacy without sexual action. I can answer this for you. You guys, I honestly, this is what I think.
Yeah.
I think and we can joke around all we want. I do think sex changes, especially
Sex
after
changes.
kids. And especially after kids, and especially after menopause, and as you age, and as your relationship grows, right? It's like things change. It is a whole journey. Okay, so what the beginning could have been hot and fun and 24/7. As you age, I do think that you change and you grow. But what's funny now, what I find intimate is the affection, is the holding hands, is the snuggling on the couch and watching a movie. Like again, now to me, it's feeling seen and heard and loved and respected. It's weird. It isn't like what you used to think is like, oh, he's all over me, or like he wants me. You know what I mean? And you think that's all hot and sexy, and it is at the beginning, but that's not long lasting. And it does get old, and that isn't what holds on to a relationship. So for me, intimacy isn't about sex at all. I think it is about the little notes you leave. I think it is about those little surprises when you bring a flower, or when you do say, I love you, you look great, or those positive words of reinforcement. Like to me, that is what's intimate. The sex is all just a plus, and that's fun. But I don't think that that's what intimacy is. What do you think it is?
Well, you still need the closeness, the holding
of
hands,
course.
touching, and that. Yeah,
But I'm saying affection, like
yes.
holding hands and kissing can be very intimate.
One, I don't ever want to make you feel like you have to do it when you're not in the mood, because then it's just being very selfish.
Yeah.
Right. And there's people who are like, oh, I've got to have sex all the time. and when their spouses or whoever don't want to do it, and they feel like they're forced to do it, it's like, okay, well, let's just get it over with.
Yeah, or like the person gets cranky.
You really want to do that?
Moody.
You're like, yeah.
And I'm like, do you really want it forced, or do you want it when we're both in a great mood and in the mood? So I agree with you. I don't like that feeling of, I actually am so grateful to you, because I do have friends that do feel that pressure, and they do avoid home, and they do avoid, because it's like, they're like, oh, fuck, he's coming.
Let him fall asleep first.
Oh,
or
I want to
drug
fall
him.
asleep first. Like, give him some night stuff. But it's true that you do feel, I honestly could not be in a situation like that. Like
No,
I hear the
you couldn't, I
stories
could
and
tell.
I
It's
would
like,
like it just wouldn't work because to me that feels forced. That doesn't feel like it's your decision.
Right.
That makes me feel really uncomfortable. It's like if I don't feel good. So to me, I'm like, show me the affection, show me the love, show me the hand holding. Like, let's have fun, let's laugh. That will get me more in the mood than feeling guilty.
And unfortunately, you don't have, well, you do have an option. If you're hungry and you say, hey, make me dinner, but you don't feel like cooking, you say, all right, I'm going to order out. Here, what do you want? Let's get you what you want. There you have an option. With this, you actually also have an option. Go,
we're not promoting that option.
What, self-service?
No, self-service is fine, but it's like getting another ordering out. I don't think you can order out.
No, you don't want to do that.
Let's not misinterpret that.
No, we don't want to do that.
No, it's just about, again, showing, I think it's like the love languages. And I do think it's like for different people, it's different things.
It's also, I see it as respect because you got to be in the mood. I'm like, otherwise it's just me doing what I want.
Right. And then, so someone said, how post-menopause sex, keeping it sexy. I would have to say with menopause, I do feel like it's a time that you are not in the mood. I do feel like you are not feeling like your best self. I felt like the weight gain, so your body's changing, so you feel a little insecure. You don't feel like your best self. You're definitely cranky. You're losing your hair. You're sweating. Yes, you are not your best self. I have to say once you start kind of leveling out again and kind of feeling like yourself again and bringing that best version of you back again, I think that's why they call you cougar, because I do think that you start to look good again. You start to feel good again. And I think once you start to feel like yourself again, I think that interest comes back. But I think there is dry spells. You might need some extra products because menopause is menopause. You are lacking in hormones. So it isn't about necessarily your desire. Sometimes it's your hormones. Like it really is. And you hear women start taking HRT or this and they're like on fire again. So the point is, it's not over. It's not dead. I think it's a journey. And I think sometimes it's great and hot and amazing. And then I think other times you're kind of like not in the mood and you're just tired and cranky. So I think that's just the reality of it. Right. Yeah. But I think showing each other respect is always the right way to go.
Right.
Being pressured? Absolutely not. Okay, so somebody asked, your relationship with John's parents, when did they move to LA? I actually love John's parents. John's parents are amazing.
They moved to LA in 2002. So it was a couple years before you met them. But they'd always wanted to live in California.
Okay. They did crazy research. His parents are the sweetest. Your dad researched to see what the best weather in the country was.
Best climate, yeah.
Best climate.
Loves
so they
golfing.
moved to San Clemente for that. But they're really loving. They're really wonderful. But it's funny because we grew up so differently because John's parents were definitely more savers. More, what do you need? They worked hard for everything. And my parents worked hard too, but they were definitely more spoilers, came from another country, and they just had a different way of doing things. But I have to say, both our families came together. They got along so well. Like, your parents are wonderful to my parents. Like, they've always been super respectful and kind to each other. And I love them. I actually want to spend more time with them. And it's more of like, I think they want to do their own thing. And I think that's always been the hardest I really had this illusion of having grandparents that want to be around 24/7. I mean, I wish my parents would do that. And having that like really close knit, help and like what you would see in the movies. Cause I did not grow up like that. Like my parents, my family was never around. So I really crave that. So I thought, Michigan, oh my God, like cute, like sweet family. They're going to want to hang out with the kids 24/7. That's not the case. The case is they want to play golf and enjoy themselves. And which I completely understand. But I think, when you're having kids and you're going through the thick of it, you can feel a little resentment in that.
I think the biggest issue is you had this perception of what it should be. And when it doesn't live up to your perception and expectation, you are then disappointed. So I set my expectations really low and then everyone overachieves. And I'm always happy. But you have this habit of thinking one way and expecting it. And then when it's not,
you're disappointed.
Very.
That's why expectations suck.
If you can't change the outcome and you can't change other people. So don't be disappointed.
I just think we've come into a generation where it feels like grandparents were always around, always helping. And then it went to my parent, like then they didn't do shit. But I know, but your mom would always say, nobody helped me. And it's this mentality of nobody helped me, so like I don't want to help you. And I think my mentality was always like, but if you knew it was hard and you felt it and you wish somebody helped you, wouldn't you want to do that for the people you love? Like, why wouldn't you want to solve that problem for the people that you love? Like, if you struggled, why wouldn't you want to help? Be like, I want to give you a night out. I know how hard it is. Like, I want you to have a weekend free. I see that's the way I think. So I found it fascinating that it was much more like, sorry, like, good luck. I was like, what? I was like, I thought you were moving in with us.
No.
But do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I find that interesting. How did you see my parents as?
You see where you got a lot of your traits from?
Yeah, and yours as well.
Yeah, yes, totally. Good and bad.
Well, you always say that your parents talk about your relationship theory.
What is that? How your daughters
affects
need to
you. No, how much it affects like how you grew up and how your parents were.
Yeah.
Really affects your relationship as much as you think you're not like your parents. Like
it all core.
It all seeps out.
Seeds your core and it grows, and depends on what it's going to grow into. How you were raised and the things there really deeply impact, and having a deep understanding as people who go into relationships dive deep into really deep. Really, really deep, and go have dinner with like parents and anyone close,
like, and even have vacation with them if you can.
And yes, and get out with them and do whatever you can to learn about how they are, and then ask them what they love about their mom and their dad or whomever raised them, and what they didn't like, because those are the things that are going to impact them later on. Those are the things that they're going to be watching out for. Those are the things that, because it's not like if your parents cheat, you're going to cheat. It depends on how you perceive that cheating. And for you, it was detrimental. You saw what it did to your mom. So you were never going to be with a cheater, or it was never going to last if you did.
And I would not have been able to handle it.
Right.
No.
And so knowing that, and it's because of what you did and how you always talked about it. But then there's the things that you liked, like your dad giving you gifts, and you like that. So you're going to expect it.
Who doesn't like it? But he was buying me. He was definitely buying my love.
He also
and
grew
forgiveness.
up in Cuba, and he didn't have anything. So he wanted to treat you really well because he never had it. But really, go in and find out what they don't like.
Lot. It does tell you a lot. And it is like people start to figure shit out like 15 years in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like when you're dating, when you're out, when you're getting to know somebody, again, John and I always say this, and we were 5 months in, we got moved in together and got engaged, but
it was quick.
We do have an incredible way of communicating, and we always talked a lot. We always dug deep. We were always very, like, we saw each other's families. We hung out. Like, I remember when you came to visit for the first time. I mean, the fact that he didn't run for his life, like screaming out the door, it's a miracle, like, to be honest with you. But he also knew what he was dealing with. So I also think it's like, don't hide. No, but like, you can't hide who you are. Don't hide what really went down, because people won't tell their real stories, won't tell like what really happened. I'm like, yeah, my dad was a cheater. Like, life wasn't perfect. It may have looked perfect, but it wasn't.
But your dad was one of the kindest guys.
He was.
He really was. And it comes through you. Like, your kindness is from your dad.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And his love of life and love of people. Yeah. And you know what I mean? It's funny
because he's a little slower, which you found me, and I get annoyed with you because that's what.
No, I get annoyed with you.
I mean, you get annoyed with me because that's what annoys you. Is like, you want to get ready, and you're like, chop, 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 come on.
I'm more fast paced. John is more.
I'm like,
Midwest,
take my time a little bit. I'm
slower,
like, okay.
Where I'm like,
well, that's not all Midwest. It's just me. Yeah.
Well, I feel like it, and I mean to like, it's not.
Well, I get that from my dad.
Well, yeah, we're just like, the answer takes 10 minutes to answer.
Okay.
Like, wait, but like, there is.
All right,
these
next
things.
question.
No, but I think it's an important lesson about dating.
Definitely.
I really do.
Definitely.
I think people like rush into shit. Everybody's like just dying to get married. I'm like, do you even know who you're marrying? Do you know their family? All of that comes up. Do you know your family's family?
And
because
who you're
it's
gonna
like,
have kids with.
Because the truth is, once you have kids, it's forever. Like, that's it. Like, you are responsible, tied forever.
For 18, 20 years.
Okay, this will be interesting to see what you think. If you haven't felt seen, heard, loved, or respected after 11 years, would you stay? You're really not feeling valued at home, is what I'm hearing.
Right.
Right? You're having a hard time.
One, you have to have that conversation, as hard as it's going to be, and be honest about it around how you feel. Because if I said, hey, I'm not feeling seen and heard, and it's like, okay, what do you mean? Let's have a conversation. But if the other person doesn't want to have that conversation, and have examples and things and how you feel, don't blame, don't put it on others, put it around how you're feeling and struggling, you'll get your answer right away. based on how they react. If they blow it off, then they really don't care about you. If they're like, oh my God, like I didn't know you were feeling that way. And sometimes people are oblivious. So you have to give the benefit of the doubt of like, they just don't get it.
You do feel that? You do feel like sometimes someone could be oblivious.
Oh,
you do.
totally.
Do you think men can be oblivious?
Totally.
Like we like to say that, but I sometimes think we're excusing men.
We cannot read
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. And sometimes I'm going to generalize. Women are like, you should know how I'm feeling. I'm like, no, I'm just like, easy
No,
going.
I've actually come to the conclusion that you don't know how I'm feeling, and that I realize that you have no clue what's going on in my head.
Yes.
Even like
Oh
when
my
it comes
God,
to
nobody knows what's going on in your head. Actually, we all do because
well,
you
yeah, I
now
say it
talk
all.
about it.
I have like diarrhea of the mouth.
I just watch your stories and I know what I'm
you know
going to expect.
exactly when I'm pissed at you. But the point is, it's like even for gift giving, it's just being able to like
gift giving.
Write out all the different things that you want at all different price points to like make that person comfortable, right? Like when we used to joke about that. Again, it's being able to have the conversations, even if they're hard, because I do think that if somebody loves you, if somebody says they love you, they should want to see you happy,
Yes.
right? Like it doesn't really make sense that you're like, oh, we're married 18 years, whatever, but like you're not smiling ever and you hate him, like you're miserable. He doesn't show you respect. Like at the end of the day, I do believe that the people that say they love you, whether it's your friends, your family, your sister, your, you know what I mean, your husband, whoever it is, they should want to see you looking and feeling your best.
Yes.
And so if you're not, I would think they would care. And I would think it would be a really much deeper conversation from there to be like, oh my God, like how can we work on this if they want to work on it?
Right.
And I usually think that sometimes people don't work on things, whether it's how you look, because of how you're feeling. And usually we don't want to deal with things. We don't want to face them. So we avoid the conversation. And I think we're all scared sometimes to not hear what we want to hear. And so you avoid it. Mm-hmm. But I do think at the end of the day, knowledge is power. You're better off knowing and dealing sooner rather than later. And you'll never get what you want without asking. Right? Like we're just,
Ask.
You gotta ask. Trust me, ladies. Like don't ever be afraid to ask for what you want, because the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to hear no.
Yeah.
But that's the worst case scenario. And I'd rather know no sooner rather than later.
And let them know the gifts that you want. Don't make them it a guessing game. Oh, he should know me. I've been with him for so long. He should know what I want. I'm
Our
like,
famous
no,
trip to Catalina.
Yeah.
Another high expectations for me. I think I've told this story, but it's again, it's just having an awareness where John told me he was fucking surprising
I'm never
me.
surprising her again.
Well, you went really overboard on the surprise. Like you made it sound like I thought he was like flying me on the Concorde to Paris and we were going shopping at Chanel. Next thing you know, we're pulling up to the dock at Long Beach and actually the helicopter was good. Yeah. But we were going to Catalina for the weekend, and it was one of those things where John is right. I was so disappointed because I had absolutely created a psychotic illusion in my head. And I don't know where I thought that he would do this, because he wasn't the kind of person who would do that. So I don't know where in my head I thought.
But then we went on a 13-mile hike, and I had thoughts of like leaving you out in the middle of nowhere with the buffalo, and then come back and go to get the massages that I had planned.
You wanted to ditch me there? Yeah, I was a total bitch on the way there. I recovered and we did have a good weekend, but it was a very harsh lesson in expectation and living in reality. And why was I expecting something like that when there was no indication of that? So it's like, why am I creating that illusion in my head? And I think it is a little bit of what everyone else is doing. I do think you get caught up, especially when you're at home and you're not busy and you've got a lot of time on your hands. You are watching everyone else and what everyone else has and is doing.
Stop building shit up in your head.
But it's true, right? I think that's what happens, because you start watching and you start thinking. And then what we always say is you never really know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yes.
So you can have all these illusions, but you don't know if they have credit card debt, if they can't pay, if the husband's cheat. Like you don't really know if anyone's happy. So I had to really teach myself to, live in the moment and not have so many expectations. From John. Love you, John.
Expectations, just realistic expectations.
Okay. Last real quick question, because we got to run, and I just want to do a little quickie in the best way. How did you end up living in California, and was it love at first sight?
California was a place I was going to be, so we loaded up the truck and we moved.
You wanted to be here?
Yes. I had a really good friend in college from Northridge. We would always come out and watch Michigan. I went to University of Michigan. And when they played in the Rose Bowl. So we came and got a taste of the California life, plus with my parents. And I just loved it. just liked the weather. Michigan was just cloudy for 6 months of the year, and I just felt that depression.
Yeah, it is like you do feel better. When I moved to LA too, I had been filming in Miami. I got signed out here, so I moved out here to try the acting world. And there is something about that sunshine every day. You kind of want to get up, you want to get outside. So I enjoy living in California. It's a little rough right now with all the crime and the weather, but
hey, it's rough everywhere.
We do love it. We met at a birthday party, and I do think it was love at first sight. I did see you and think, what am I doing with this fucking guy? Like that, you were like, I was like, there was something that I was like, that's him. It was bizarre.
Yeah.
And then 5 months later, we moved in. 2 months later, engaged. 18 years later, married. 20 years together. 2 kids, 2 dogs, and my mother lives with us.
Oh, gee.
God bless.
Yes.
Anything is possible, guys. That's the good news.
Yep.
Anything is possible. I think relationships are hard. I think life is hard, but you can find your happy in the hard.
And we are working together.
And we work together. You guys, we've been living and working from home for like 20 years, and we still like each other. So the point is, it is possible. I think what it takes is respect. And I think it takes really good communication and lots of laughter.
Yes. Lots of laughter. You got to find
the funny, because if not, you'll cry.
Yes. No.
Okay, it was short and sweet. Love you, John. Thanks for coming on. We got to go. Guys, we're coming in hotter with John, but he's off now. And I will be back next week with another incredible episode. Please like, review, subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you, and I hope you have a fabulous week. Mwah.